mix up a really strong purple, and you can use it as a dark in trees, shadows, and add it to other colours to darken them off. And then when you want a really good strong purple, this is the one to go for. You can use it. A little bit of it goes a long way. That's how strong it is. And this is what I've been mixing. And I can just mix a bit of that in there, and we can try that for the headland that just comes along here. That's my cat wanting to get in, so I'll just let her in through the window. Meet Mink. She came down out of the bush. Mink's our rescue cat. She came down out of the bush one weekend and we adopted her. Someone had abandoned her. I'm finding it hard to put that back in really flat, so I'm going to leave it. I've put the beginning of it in there, and then I'm going to leave it, and when it's all dry I'll put a bit more tape along there and fix that up as well, so that I've got a really flat horizon. I'm taking the purple that I have here, and I'm going to load in a bit of browny colour to it, just to brown it off a little bit for those rocks over here. In with the rocks, just with that little round brush again. Taking a little flat brush now, sharp one, and running the water, running it through the sea there, and just letting it spread a little bit. By running the brush underneath the rock there, while the water's wet, it picks up a little bit of the colour and just spreads it a little bit. You can see the clouds quite dramatic. I'm not going to worry about going exactly like that. I don't really want to copy this photo as much as just draw on it for inspiration. But I will be starting to drop clouds in. I'm thinking the sky actually needs to be a bit more this colour, and the water needs to be a little bit darker over here because it's going to catch the reflections of the dark cloud. So that's something I might have to do again before I go for the clouds. The idea now is I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to start just putting the tape back up so I can revisit that sky a little bit. I'd like it to be slightly brighter than it is. I've just mixed up a slightly brighter version there, loading it up, and I don't have to worry because I've got that tape that I'm running over the edge of the water there. I'm just making a very much orangier kind of colour to add a little bit down near the horizon there. That's just made the sky a little bit brighter, which is what I was after. I'm going to reinstate, while I've got the tape on, the little bits of mountainy headlands back there. I'm using a small flat brush for this, just working my way back into it. It's so much easier once you have the tape on, because you're not at all concerned about the carrying it over into the sea. Now just to take the tape off again. It's on again, off again, isn't it? Let's peel that off. Next is going to be the cloud up in here. So I want to put a nice big cloud up in there, and it's going to, I'm going to put a little bit of the, it's time to do the cloud. I'm going to use again some of the ultra matte gel to leave a little bit of texture in there, in the cloud, and not make it perfectly smooth. I'm going to start with a nice deep base for the cloud. of sort of purples and blues. I'm going to move over this way to do it. So in goes the big cloud. And I'm just putting in purples and blues for the base of it. Fairly flat along the base. Some extra little bits of cloud going out that way. I want to do some scudding sort of clouds going across the sky over here as well, so put those in. These are at the same kind of height above me, position in the sky, but I will be putting some more back here that are a bit further away. As they go further away, they get flatter. So we can see quite a bit of the body of the underneath of that one, but here we're just going to see little bits of it, and they become closer together as they become further away. This is a really good way to add contrast into your sky by putting in some little clouds going back there. And it helps with the illusion of distance. They're my sunsetty clouds. I do need to actually add in more purple into that one. And then I have to add in some of the pinky reddy colours to the top of it, where the sunlight is bouncing on it. So I'll be just adding in some reds, reddy orangey colours along the top of that. Loading my brush with the colour and scrumbling it on. Some of it will come down into the purples. Just tailing off there. And I'll actually be taking some of the more yellow colour as well. I want a variety of pinks and orangey yellows in that cloud amongst the purples. So I just keep going, back and forth till I've got the colours that I'm looking for. That's all a bit too orangey there. So I will knock it back. And then just working some of the purples back and forth in it. Really making it quite dark in this area here, to contrast with the peachy orangey colours. It's a little lumpy, that cloud. I think I might make a little bit more form in it by adding in some more purples through there. And perhaps allowing it to trail off a little bit here. this area too, I can just, you can see it's lifting some of the colour and allowing me to rework it. So if I've got an area I don't really want, I can lift it off using this unlocking formula. Just makes it alive again so I can move it around. And if I take it lightly, it won't take everything underneath. I don't really think I want those, so they're coming out using the unlocking formula. And you can see I've completely lifted that cloud out, and that's not really possible with most acrylics, but it's quite a nice thing that you can do with the ateliers using the unlocking formula. Right, I need to drop some of that colour down into the from the clouds down into the water there. So again, I'm just taking a flat brush. I do like flat brushes. And I'm using some of the colour that I put into the clouds, some of the reds and oranges and purples, and I'm going to just drop them down in the water like so, to create some reflected colour, pulling it down like that, then wetting my brush so I can just make it more washy. And I can also do some of these little horizontal strokes along there through that reflection. So verticals for the reflections, and then some horizontals to suggest the water surface there. And I'm getting some reflections over there. If I don't like the way they look, I can just go back in again and say, well, that was too much. And just try again until I've got it the way I want it. Put a bit of light in there. Oops. And it's just downward dragging. I don't want to make very pronounced lines so much as just a general colour shift. So it's kind of blocks of colour just drag down. And it will still continue over here. And I'll go back in and restate the rock shortly. So once I put it in, then I'm just dragging the whole lot, the brush right across the surface to create the ripples. Maybe a touch of the darker purples in there too. And some darker purples right under that very dark spot. So now I've created some of the reflections coming down in there. I do think I still want that slightly darker. So I'm going to go in quite dark here. Quite dark. I'd like that to be a bit lighter, so what I'm now going to do is just take some of the lighter pinky colours and run them, sorry I keep jumping around, run them through there. That's really got to be more light than it currently is. That's not a problem, I just need to mix up another bit of lighter colour to run through there. So I actually want it quite light behind there because of all the darkness of the posts I'm going to be adding in, and they need a nice light background, so here I am just lightening that off again. I'm fairly happy with that now. I've got the clouds, I've got the reflections. I may put a little bit more of a rosy colour up there. The highlights on the top of that cloud, just with the Naples yellow. I'm going to add some of the colours that I've used up there down into the sand here now. Remember earlier I said we could reglaze it, so I'm just doing a bit more of that now. Just to get a bit more colour into that. Then we're coming back through the water there as well. I want to pay particular attention to my edges here, because when you go over the canvas it can make quite a hard edge and I don't want any hard edges, so I'm just flicking it out to the edge and trying to make some variation in the edge there. I need a bit more purpley blues down here. That's better. And they contrast really well with the yellows that I've got in there. So just putting those in amongst the sand, and then lovely contrasting with the complementary yellows.